Hey Heifers, welcome to a special Slow Jams episode of Angus IT. I'm your host tonight, DJ Luminous Buckshot Love. That was voted on by listeners. Thank you so much for this great name I have for you this evening. Yes, DJ Luminous Buckshot Love. I'll be here mastering all our lovely, steamy, beautiful stories that you listeners have sent me. This podcast is usually about anxiety and depression, but today we're drinking tea or wine or tears, depending on how you're feeling, and unwrapping those sweet, sweet heifer submissions about Valentine's Day. Listeners like you have sent me all their juicy tales. Crushes will be revealed, horror stories unearthed, want ads answered. All listeners have the protection of anonymity, and the majority of them trusted me to come up with their pseudonyms. Oh, what silly fools. So turn down the lights, light up some candles, and let's hit play on some smooth submissions. Our first foxy submission is from EARRRLL Grey, an aggressive kind of tea, as I'm sure all of you know. And he requested that we talk about catfishing. Catfish as a platter can be delicious when fried, or so I'm told. I've never given it a whirl, even though I do live near seafood areas. They have freaky faces, and imagining their freaky faces fried gives me fright. But I assume EARRRL Grey is talking about the kind of catfishing where you pretend to be someone else online. There are many reasons behind the catfish. Sometimes people don't feel confident in themselves, so they feel the need to take on another personality. Other times, they're straight up murderous. You never know. It's just a toss-up. Luckily, I have never been catfished. I will say I've been shocked by people I've met in person. Like, this happens regardless when you're dating, but you see what they are on paper and you're like, oh, okay. And then you meet them in person and they don't really match what they say. So I guess in a way it's a catfish because they're putting forward a personality that isn't actually theirs. And obviously some things can be up to interpretation, but I actually kind of had that happen to me. And oh wait, we're not okay. Yes, DJ Luminous Buckshot Love here. We're now gonna enter a segment I like to call Lainey's Lackluster Dating Life. So I kind of hate dating because I get so stressed by it. Like, my anxiety is just triggered by dating. I actually end up dissociating on dates. It's when you like leave your body and you're watching yourself like 10 feet away. It's a fun, weird time, right? So when that happens, you don't really want to actively seek out a ton of dates. Like, my ideal romance is one day I wake up from a coma and find out that I've had a boyfriend for 3 months already. Like, perfection. Since that isn't feasible and probably not healthy in more ways than one, I do try to make myself go on dates. So one time, I went on a date with this guy I met off of Bumble. He seemed nice enough. He was getting his doctorate in English, I think. Had some solid nerd qualities, all that jazz. Ooh, and we love jazz here at the Slow Jams DJ Luminous Buckshot episode. The photo that won me over on his profile was him wearing a Chewbacca suit. Like, he just felt like he was at home. And I was like, I can dig with us. So I met him for this date in a Barnes & Noble, which magical place, books everywhere, casual setting, can run away into the self-help section if the date goes horribly wrong. And he proceeded to talk the entire time. Like, I literally didn't get to say anything. I got to nod and occasionally make that but I couldn't even get a yeah or a yes or oh, tell me more about that in at all. Like, he talked about his dissertation, which was kind of boring, and then he talked about other papers he was working on. I think medieval literature came up, like things that he didn't engage me with it. He just spat at me these words. He also didn't look me in the eye, which is probably for the best because I'm sure he would have seen how glazed over my look was. And yeah, I probably disassociated during that date, but that's probably the one time I'm like chill with it. I was like, I need to leave because I'm so bored. Like, why am I on this date? You could have just sent me your TED Talk. We left the date. It was really awkward. We still didn't look at each other, like awkward half waves. And it was highly uncomfortable. I did end up going to actually the murder mystery section. Don't worry about it. Not related. But I think the worst thing is that I don't remember his name. And it's not like, because it's been like a lot of time has passed. It was like 3 weeks later, I realized I don't remember his name. I refer to him as Chewbacca guy. No one else remembers his name because that is how numbing that date was. And that's just how dating is. You think a person will be a certain way, you meet them, it turns out not to be great. So that's just a thing to say. It's great to talk about yourself, but like maybe ask the person questions or try to like interact with them. I assume that's why you went on a date with them. Just throwing it out there. Now, would I ever want to catfish? The idea is really appealing to me. Like, I'd love to play an old man named Ernest. He enjoys cologne and speaks in a hushed voice when he sits by the fire and discusses his favorite Greek tragedies. He has a dachshund named Harry he adopted with his ex-wife, Patricia, but no worries. She moved to Italy and is a lesbian. She won't be part of the problem, unless you're attracted to her as well, which would make such a fun, interesting time. Ernest will hint at this, but won't push it if you seemed a little scared by that. He also does enjoy the simpler things of life. He enjoys a good burger, but it must be grilled on his fancy grill, on his patio, looking out on the vineyard he owns in Northern California. He's a white wine man, which is a little surprising, but that Pinot Grigio moves through you like gold liquid. He is the sunset, he is the full moon, and he is the sunrise, a silver fox with a heart of gold. Sorry, I just lost myself there in that fantasy. I think I'll avoid catfishing for now. Right, let's get back to our slow jams. Our next listener has a sizzling question for your DJ Luminous Buckshot Love, submitted by ClaudeHasClaws. Oh, meow. What is your ideal Valentine's Day gift to receive? A lot of people want things like chocolate or roses or diamonds, but what I want simply is a scavenger hunt. That leads us to solving a cold case murder in the span of like 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so my man will need to do a lot of the groundwork before the clues are presented to me. And based on how cold cases are, cold, he probably needs to start working on that today, which will require me to use some magical powers since we don't know each other yet at all. Like, I'm single. The only man that could be on my arm right now is if I grabbed a pen and drew a stick figure on my bicep. So I'm going to write down a date right now. Actually, hold on, pen. Okay. I'm going to write down that by February 14th of 2023, I will have a scavenger hunt with a man where I get to solve a cold case mystery. Now, the goal is that this man is like we're boyfriend, girlfriend. He's not some rando I've known for 3 weeks that will, in the end, make me the cold case, which moderately intriguing, still don't want. A dark part of me is kind of excited by that, but I don't want that. I just want to solve the cold case. I don't think that's a lot to ask for. And it just be like a really cute memory. I don't know. Our next listener submission is from UnbotheredQueen, bow down bitches, who says, I'm soon going to be 38 and I have never had a Valentine's Day date. It's personal at this point, and now I just want to keep it going. Changing the goddamn narrative, booyah! Girl, I bow down to you, queen. I too have never had a Valentine. And honestly, I think that's kind of great. It sounds like a lot of work. I mean, like, I would never have the patience to solve a cold case mystery, create my own clues, and then expect my boyfriend to comprehend what was going on. Unbothered Queen. I love this new tradition. I vote that if we ever have partners on February 13th, we break up with them for 24 hours and then reconcile on the 15th just to keep this going. And like a great point, you don't need to have a Valentine to feel self-worth. I remember so many times throughout school where they would do the thing where you could like buy roses for other people or send candy Valentines. And it was always like, oh, who's your secret crush? Who sent this? Da-da-da. And you'd see like someone's desk get piled up with all the things, and then your desk maybe doesn't get anything. And then maybe one day you finally get a rose and you're like, oh my God, someone sent it to me. And you look at who it is from, and it is from your mother. Yeah, I've never had a Valentine, But interestingly enough, a lot of you Heifers reached out to your DJ Luminous Buckshot Love, expressing your dislike of Valentine's Day, saying it felt very fake, commercialized, you didn't like the color pink. Like, there were a lot of very, like, actually specific things. I think you guys went off. We need to take a deep breath. I agree with you, though. Valentine's Day in America, at least, it doesn't feel organic. Like, in some countries, I know that they specifically go to KFC on Valentine's Day. And, like, it's a mood. I haven't had KFC in forever, and honestly, I really want a bucket, and I just want to, like, destroy it. But it doesn't feel organic to me, just the way we do it. There's shit everywhere, right? And I do think it's fun to exchange Valentine cards, like in school when you got your tissue box and you created basically your own little box thing for people to shove Valentines in, and it was just really fun, and I think those little cards are just so cute and silly. You know, I'm not opposed to that fun stuff, but more times than not, I forget that Valentine's Day is right around the corner until I go in a grocery store and I'm like, dear God, why are there so many hearts around? I'm like, oh, that's why. Which to me means it's not as important to me as, say, my birthday, which I'm already counting down the days to, even though it's months away and we'll probably still be in a quarantine, and I will probably bake a cake and eat it by myself. Amen. I mean, that's what I would do. DJ Luminous Buckshot Love was gonna have one hell of a rager. There'll be glow sticks and champagne and fountains of chocolate. Oh, you know what that means, listeners. It's time for pole dancing. On my Instagram, I posted some polls that y'all responded to. Let's see the results. The first question was a very intense question. It was a preference of candy. Upon Valentine's Day, I put sweet tarts against chocolate. So the sweet tarts, I'm talking about like those little heart candies. And I'm so proud to say that chocolate won 100% of the vote. Like, I totally get it. Like, I love chocolate. I too would have voted for chocolate. The sweet tart hearts do fulfill my fantasy of being able to eat chalk, but chocolate will forever be my top choice. Though I will say, if I have a bag of the sweet tart hearts, I do just somehow find myself eating the entire thing, mostly because they have no flavor, and each bite is a whisper of what could be. And I just have to know, what does it mean? What is it? And then before I know, the whole bag is gone. But chocolate, I know what's up with chocolate. I taste it, I'm like, oh, there you are. Sometimes I get acid reflux from it. I don't know. I turned 25. That's a new thing that happens to me. Hey, yo. I also love anything that says double chocolate, which in reality, I'm not really sure what that means. Like, if it already has chocolate in it, like it's a chocolate ice cream, right? That'll be on the shelf. And then next to the chocolate ice cream, it'll say double chocolate. What's the difference? Like, I get if you had like chips added in, like chocolate chips or brownie bits, but like, what does double chocolate mean? I'm not against it, but it's like, is it all a ruse? Is it just not as much chocolate? I don't know. The next pole dance, I asked you, I thought of 2 romantic movies, both Nicholas Sparks, of course, that I thought would be a little contentious. And I pitted The Notebook against A Walk to Remember. If you don't know these films, they were books. I haven't read the books, and I would like to say that some people ask me, are we talking books or movies here? Because that answer changed. And I just want to throw out there that these results might be a little skewed because of that, but I'm not a scientist and I don't care. So, but I will say, there was in fact a correct answer to this poll. And I'm glad to say that y'all got it right, because the winner by 62% was A Walk to Remember. What didn't go well for The Notebook is that it has been played so many times. That's hard to say that if I had only seen this movie once or a handful of times, maybe I'd feel different. Also, I think a lot of us may have just experienced it on ABC Family, and then you finally watched it not on ABC Family and realized there are like 10 whole different scenes that kind of change everything because they weren't able to play it on ABC Family, and you're like, oh, this is like a different movie now. Kind of like how I had never seen Grease outside of ABC Family, and when I finally did, I was like, oh wow, this is not an innocent musical. It also doesn't help that the main character, Allie, I believe that's her name in The Notebook, pisses me off beyond belief, and I absolutely hate the trope where one miscommunication creates all of the issues. So if Allie had gotten Noah's letters, everything would be different. Like, there would not be this issue. So that just pisses me off. A Walk to Remember, on the other hand, is just a tragic story of a girl with leukemia falling in love with the hot boy, and it's just really cute. And it also just like fringes on being a musical. Like, it's so close to being there. Mandy Moore is the lead. It's so beautiful, and I think about it all the time. And I own it on DVD, which in this day and age should tell you a lot about my feelings for it. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. Either one of them, but A Walk to Remember is definitely top shelf, and I'm really glad we agree because I was ready to get feisty. But that's not what DJ Luminous Buckshot Love does. We keep it chill here for the slow jam nights. On to the next pole dance. Cupid, that little rascal with wings. I asked you, do you think he's cute or demonic? Well, it turns out we do have very strong feelings about this winged cherub, and 80% of you said that Cupid is demonic, while 20% of you said he's cute. Now, I respect those who say he's cute. They probably aren't afraid of medieval paintings or any paintings of babies, which, now that I'm saying this out loud, I didn't realize I have a strong fear of painted babies because they do this thing where they make them look like adults. I'm talking like Renaissance, medieval era. They make them look like an adult. I don't like it. And they have too many baby fat. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like they're like a skin sack of cottage cheese and they fly and they're looking right at you. And so you're telling me you're going to arm that thing with a bow and arrow and wings and let it decide who falls in love? I don't like it. Now, modern adaptations where Cupid's like a teenager and oh my God, he's in high school and he's like trying to get the attention of the hot girl, but he doesn't want to use his powers for evil. So he sets up a trap, but accidentally the arrow hits the wrong girl. And now he's in a whirlwind. That'll actually be DJ Luminous Buckshot Love's next erotic novel. It's gonna be called Cupid in High School. Well, I can't wait. I'm not gonna write one about high schoolers. Shit. Fuck. Okay, never mind. Back away. Now back to our listener submissions. Now, this listener has submitted to the Let's Drink Tea series before, and as you may or may not remember, she is in love with her chiropractor. I gather he is hot and has money. What more could you ask for? That's why your DJ Luminous Buckshot Love was not shocked when I received the message, OMG, my crush on my chiropractor, from listener Bent Over Backwards. I'm so sorry. There are so many steamy romance novels that could start here, all breaking HIPAA violations, but who doesn't love a bad boy? I imagine it's hard to have a crush on a doctor, like they know everything about you, but you know hardly anything about them. All you have are those fleeting glances, a single phrase and awkward small talk. And as a chiropractor, he's aligning your spine, but also aligning your souls, doesn't he see? You gather these moments slowly throughout the years, hoping one day he'll give you a shot, not just a vaccine. Not that chiropractors do that. That's just an overall doctor thing. Let me have this. It's beautiful. Chiropractors also seem like especially enticing since they are what I would argue the bad boys of the medical world, because there's a sizable amount of people who don't believe in chiropractic. I'm not sure what you call it. But like I literally know nothing on the subject. I just find it highly amusing that there's so much tense arguments around it. Like, I'm trying to think of a list of other, like, doctoring practices that could be really hot, and I'm not really thinking of anything. Like, podiatrist is a really fun word to say, but I'm sorry, being a foot doctor isn't really that alluring, at least for me. It depends on who you are. But like, don't get me started on the dental practice. Like, an orthodontist, I don't know, like free floss, toothbrushes and toothpaste, and a creepy frozen smile plastered on their face for like ever. Like, I'm swooning just thinking about it. Bent over backwards, I hope you find peace one day with your chiropractor. Maybe he'll lose his license and you can finally be together. Up next, we have a topical question regarding romance and quarantine. Any tips for finding love when you can't get out much? From InJailSendBail. I did have an answer ready, but after reading your name, which was created by the listener, by the way, not me, I realized I need to adjust some of my points From what I've gathered, finding love in jail is not easy. Well, it depends. I've seen some shows where but I don't know if you call that love. It's just more like anyway, it's hard, right? And I always recommend to not date your neighbors, since if things don't work out, they're going to be there all the time. Like, you're walking your dog, there they are. Taking out the trash, there they are, because you've kidnapped them and shoved them in a trash bag and are about to dump their bodies in the trash compactor. It's just not a good time. So in this case, your neighbors are going to be everyone in jail with you. So that just kind of cuts everything out for you, doesn't it? However, I think the best suggestion would be to write letters to someone and eventually get married to them. It's the ideal marriage. You don't have to see them all the time. You'll have physical letters you can hold on to or use to roll joints. And they can bring you birthday cakes with files hidden in the layers for your imminent escape. Like, what more could you want? Sometimes those jail romances, letters that like they've never met before, I'm like, how are people like in those relationships and just over here with my stick figure man on my bicep? It's fine. Anyway, DJ Luminous Buckshot Love is feeling fierce tonight and has no confidence issues whatsoever. So I hope you're able to not only find a pen pal in InJailSendBail, but a pen spouse. There's another holiday that's starting to overshadow Valentine's Day, and that holiday is Galentine's, a day dedicated to hanging out with your lady friends, taking down the patriarchy, and enjoying some delicious foods. But not all celebrations go according to plan. Here's one listener's treacherous journey with Galentine's. A few years ago, I was renting a house with 4 other girls. Me and most of my gal friends were single at the time, and I decided to host a Galentine's party. Channeling my inner Leslie Knope, I baked yummy goods, spent hours on homemade heart decorations, and cleaned the entire house. Fast forward to 5 minutes before the guests arrive. One of my housemates comes in from work. She takes a look in the fridge and decided that was the moment she needed to get rid of some month-old moldy pasta. As soon as she opened the Tupperware, I smelled something that my anthropology candle could not overcome. Before I realized what was happening, I turned to see her dumping the entire container of month-old moldy pasta down the garbage disposal. DJ Luminous Buckshot Love side note, what the literal fuck? The listener in the next line says, if you have ever rented with a first time living on their own, you find that they think you can throw anything down the garbage disposal. I completely agree. As someone who grew up thinking you could throw eggshells down the garbage disposal. Apparently you can. It gets messed up. I thought we used to put down vegetables in there. Like, I don't know. I'm just my family just was like, fuck it, grind it up in the sink. We'll deal with it later. I don't even know what we did to the plumbing in Ohio, but I'm just going to apologize in advance. I did not know you could not put these things down there. Let us return to our listener. She thought she could throw anything down the garbage disposal. Turns out you can't. There was so much pasta that the disposal immediately gave up on life. Mood. The sink was full of water and smelly pasta. 2 minutes before the guests arrived, we had given up and hoped it would just drain naturally during the party. It was going down a little, but I went into the bathroom later to check my face one last time, and when I switched on the light, both sinks were full to the brim with the smelly pasta. To make matters worse, our landlord was abroad on a long vacation. Needless to say, I spent the next week brushing my teeth in the shower. What the literal fuck? So that was submitted by NoNudesNoNoodles. Y'all didn't choose your names, I'm just saying. NoNudesNoNoodles. Yes, if I was in my bathroom and suddenly saw rotted noodles arise from the sink, I would run to Taco Bell, order the entire menu, and then just wait for the apocalypse, because if the plumbing... I shouldn't do that, because if the plumbing is broken, the last thing I need is a Taco Bell cleanse. Hold please. I go to the grocery store. I buy 3 wheels of cheese. Eat them in succession. Good for the next week. And plumbing is a mystery to me, the way that cars are. I don't get how it works. I just know it happens. And so I'm just curious, where did the noodles go? Where did they all go? Are there still noodles lurking in the walls? if they left, like, where are they now? Like, are they lurking in other people's pipes? If it's all connected? Because I don't imagine noodles really breaking down that much. Like, they get soggy, but like, wouldn't there be noodles in the wall? Like, what else lurks in our pipes? Is this why people insist on drinking filtered water? DJ Luminous Buckshot Love obviously drinks filtered water. Doesn't drink straight from the sink like a mule. Our last user submission is a confession of another crush, this time on a creative writing teacher, submitted by The Literous. I'm sorry, I had to. I think it's impossible to not fall madly in love with a creative writing teacher or an English teacher at some point in your life. Like, I think you cannot physically avoid it. Like, there's something about mania and beards, if they can grow beards, and elbow patches and like little writer quirks. They're just so enticing. They all have like that little flair of humor, and like you just find yourself intoxicated by them. To love writing and working with literature and then to decide to teach it to other people, like what bravery that takes, what strength. All of those professors, they 110% take their students outside for class whenever. Like, they're like, oh, it's a nice day, let's go outside. And it's like the best time. Like, science says it creates a hotness vortex that is inescapable. I think I have some unresolved feelings I'm realizing right now. Oh, which would be great. Oh, this could be a fun segment. DJ Luminous Buckshot Love here to talk about a certain love resume brought to you by yours truly. Hello, I'm DJ Luminous Buckshot Love, full of love and shotguns, but like a buckshot, you know, luminous. I glow in the dark and I shoot for your heart. I have a dog named Fern. She is my social life, and most people end up liking her more than me. So if you find me subpar, my pooch will make you feel so much better. That sounded kind of weird. Keep going, Elaine. Okay. As a DJ, I podcast a lot, so I am very good at talking to myself, meaning you don't have to really interact with me that much. I also don't know how to cook. Like, I kind of can. I've forced myself to do it, but I have mad points in my Taco Bell app, so like, feel free to get on that. I have connections. And on top of all of that, I'm a messy person, so if you ever want to hide secrets from me, you could so easily hide it within my house and I would never know. Like, pretty hard to resist this offer, isn't it? So feel free to email me at djluminouSbuckshotLove@hotmail.com. Thank you. Anyway, I think the whole point of all of that was that this just goes to show how heartbreaking a crush is. It's way more fun to close off your heart to the world and eat pasta. Okay, wait, no more pasta though. I usually emotionally eat pasta, but after the No Nudes, No Noodles story, I'm good. Sink pasta though sounds like a fun recipe your grandma made during the Great Depression. Well, Heifers, we've reached the end of this slow jam, hot damn episode. It's time for me to retire my title as DJ Luminous Buckshot Love. I've never felt so complete as a person than when I was Luminous Buckshot Love. Let's all remember to keep our hearts open and our masks on. Much love to you, you beautiful bovines, and good night. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Angus IT. Yes, my voice hurts from doing that octave the entire time. If you didn't know, the DJ names I had were from a DJ generator, and then I offered y'all the options. So it was Luminous Buckshot Love, Numb Honey Dip Love, Worthless Echo, and Whimsical Wood Grain. Anyway, this was such a fun time. I hope you have a lovely day. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AngusIT. That's Angus like the cow, I like the body part, and T like the drink. My website is www.angusit.com, where I post all my show notes. You can also email me at angusit@gmail.com. My DMs are always open. I'd love to have a chat with you, and I hope that you are able to get all the fucking discount candy you want on February 15th. Let's go nuts. Let's go wild, but let's keep it in check and drink water as we really boost through our sugar levels. That might not be great, but anyway, I hope you have a lovely day, and with that, I will talk to you next Wednesday with a pretty big episode. Bye, Heifers.